Hello. Perfect. Cassidy, how are you doing today?
I'm waking up. It's something I've been processing for a while, but you go through it over and over and you're like, was it in my head? Like, did I even have a chance? Like, and then you rewatch it back and to see everybody else's surprise as much as mine, like it kind of validates that I wasn't crazy for thinking that I had a really good chance at winning. And then now I'm kind of depressed all over again because I was hoping maybe it was just in my head and I didn't deserve it anyway, but we'll
Well,
we'll
you must be
process it for
you
a
must
while.
be proud though of the game that you played and how, even though it ended how it did, you must be proud of everything that you did and how you played that game.
I'm so proud. Like, really, I mean, I've been watching this show since I was a little kid. So to be able to go out there and live out my dream, to see it all the way through to the very bitter end, and to have won three immunity is like I like honestly can't even say believe that I can say I was like a challenge piece because to me, like I'm not a very athletic person and I'm pretty clumsy. So I just think that's like hilarious and amazing. And I did I left everything out there. I did all that I could and I feel super proud of the game that I played, and I'm glad that people also respect like what I did to get to the end and how I played, and that means that means so much to me as a super fan. So
Now, watching last night, I was very confused because I was like, you seem to be the sure winner. And all the like you meticulously played that final part of the game, making crucial decisions all the way to the end. Based on what you know, what happened with the jury? Why did they side with Gabler over your pitch?
honestly, it's okay. So it's hard because I can't speak for them.
Right.
All I know is what I've been told, and I've been told very like mixed things. So one of the things, as soon as I got out of the game, I was told that um, somebody I won't name, you could probably guess, basically slandered my name to the jury as they promised they would,
Right.
and they have denied that. But at the same time, they also told me that they had already basically decided on Gabler as the winner together at Ponderosa, and not like in. So to me, I'm like, okay, so there was already like nothing I could have done at final tribal. You know what I mean? Like it just felt it was just weird, like the what I was told and how I everything went down. Like I still don't understand. I'm sure the jury will justify, and I don't want to take away from Gabler winning, but like at the same
Right.
time, I really was. I mean, you could see me in Owen's face. We were pretty surprised. At the same time, we like I don't know what else I could have done. Like I really don't know if it was a super like unbiased decision.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like you played a very quote unquote dirty game. I mean, it's not like you were cutting people underhandedly left, right, and center. So I wouldn't. It was very confusing to me to see how things went so much his way.
Mm-hmm.
You can understand a few votes here and there, but it was like a landslide to the other side, and I was left very confused, and I'm sure you were too.
Yeah, I was, and like I just remember like everything that Gabler said, they were like laughing and like even though like he honestly like he talked and talked and talked and like kind of like rambled and like Jeff had to stop him and like he was just talking. He took up like 70% of the tribal talking,
Yeah.
and I just remember like it didn't matter what he said, people were just like laughing and smiling, and like even if his answer didn't really like make sense to me. And then whenever I would say anything, it was like I was getting attacked. If I tried to say anything to like discredit Gabler's game or even Owens, like they because like that's what you do at the end. You fight for your game, you explain
Yeah.
how it's better and even if I tried to say anything like that, people would like Ryan like jumping to his defense,
Yeah.
and I was just like that's what it felt like. They were closed off to me from the start and super open to Gabler. It's almost like they wanted to vote for the person that hurt them the least in the game versus like who actually objectively played the best game at the end. And I'm not saying that like I think I like totally played a better game than Gabler, but in my mind at the time when I went to with him to Final Three, like that was my perception,
Now,
and I thought going up against Owen, honestly.
do you regret taking Gabler, or would you have made the same decision, all things considered?
I think I would have made the same decision because I think that what happened, like, I don't think I was wrong for perceiving things the way that I did because,
Right.
truth be told, everybody wanted to take him to the end. Like, that was kind of a conversation. Like, nobody ever was like, we need to get him out. He's a threat. It
Right.
was like, it was always kind of like a, whether it was spoken or not thing. Like, we didn't want to waste a tribal council getting out somebody who we didn't perceive as a threat versus somebody that there were tons of. I mean, you saw the final eight. Like everybody was pretty much a threat. I feel like at that point, and obviously Gabler played a great social game, but in the other aspects of the game, I didn't think that he had a huge amount of sway. And I thought they would consider all three of those things and see maybe played the most well-rounded game, which I had felt like was me. So it was like, not to take away from his win, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would have done anything different because I didn't want to go next to
Right.
Carla or Cody or Jesse or Noelle because like they would have given it to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Now it seems some of your game was wrapped up in you had your specific targets, and those were the people that you were going to get out. And um, do you think that detracted? Do you think we don't get to see everything, obviously, but do you think those, when you focused on those individual people, do you think that took away from your game, or those people you needed to get out?
I think no, those are people every vote that I cast, and I'm lucky to be able to say this, like every vote I cast was a vote that furthered me in the game, and it was something that like I pushed that tribal, and that you know what I mean? Like I never sat back and was like, oh, okay, like even with the Janine vote, like I knew everyone was voting Janine,
Yeah.
but I didn't, first of all, I mean, it wasn't just because I didn't want to write another woman's name down, but that was like a big part of it. But also like I knew that Janine might play her shot in the dark. And if she did, and everybody was voting Janine and she didn't have a vote, then there would have been a mad scramble. And I didn't want to put my game at risk like that. And I wanted control over who went home. So like, that's why I voted for Ryan. And then for all the other votes, like it was always, cause I kept a mental list also of who ever like wrote my name down or targeted me. And Ryan was on that list. And so when I had the chance, I pushed for him. Same thing with Noelle, same thing with Sammy, same thing with Cody and Carla. And all of these people, like it was critical for me to get them out when I did. And if I hadn't, I don't think I would be sitting at the final three. So it was always intentional. I always used my power of my vote intentionally.
Yeah. Now, looking back at your relationship with Carla, whom we should not speak of, you guys were really close for the longest time, and you worked well together, and then something happened, and then there was that rift that developed. Do you think it was just competition? In your mind, based on what you saw, what you experienced, tell us what happened in your relationship with her, because you guys seemed really tight for the longest time.
Yeah. I think we are different people. And so it's hard for me to get into her mind and say, like, this is why she did that. Cause I don't think I would have handled things the same way. And I conversation on the beach was it was tough because of the things she was saying. It was really hurting. It was hurting me that she would like come after me in the way that she did at the end. And especially since we had played so closely together. And I feel like, I don't know if she ever actually saw me as like a true ally, more so as like a means to an end. And I think that when the time came, and like I think the fact that I had set myself up better at the end to get to final three and versus her, I think she might have been more upset with herself, but took it out on me and blamed me for that when it wasn't my fault. Like that I said, like, you can't blame me for playing the game. I think she always saw me as like like she could puppet me, and like I was like a pawn in her game, which was not the case. Like I had my own game. And so I think like whenever I got the better of her, I think it hurt her ego a little bit, and then she took it out on me.
Now, I asked this to all the survivors that I talked to, and because again, we only see so much on TV every week. I mean, they do film a lot, but they have to cut it down. Is there anything about your journey, your experience, whether it was a game move, a moment you had out there that you wish fans would have saw about your journey?
Yeah, I think in general, like a lot of my strategic game wasn't shown, and my relationship. So I had really close relationships with like someone like James. I felt like me and James were closer than Carla and James were.
Right.
I had a good relationship with Jesse. Like we planned to target our allies. Like at one point we were like, we both, and that's when the double flush thing happened. And I worked really closely with like, I mean, there was just a lot of gameplay of mine that like really wasn't shown, which was kind of a bummer, because then I think if it had been like, I think if I had won, they would have shown a lot more of that. You know what I mean? But still, I played a good game, and I think we were all surprised by the outcome. So it seemed like I still should have gotten some of that shown. I don't know if there's like one specific moment, besides the fact that like, maybe I had seen Carla as a throw. Oh, I guess I'll go for this one. So I knew Carla had an idol since before Janine went home.
Right.
I asked Janine about like what's the deal with the idols because we all knew she had one, and she told me about the beads. And I remember Carla asking me and like forcing her earring on me, and I was like, I don't want your earring. Like, what am I gonna do? But she was like, no, please, like, please take it. And now I see is like, she's like, you're giving me an idol. Like, just please, like, as my gratitude to you, like this form of gratitude, take my
Right.
earring, whatever. And that stuck out. So I remember that. And I was like, okay, I have to hold on to this information because first of all, if I went up to her and told her that I knew that what happened when she told me about her idol was going to happen, that she was going to target me for having that information. So I didn't want to give her the power to do that. I also wanted to be able to eventually use it against her because I knew after like a few days into the merge, like we've played very similar games up to this point, and I think we had both won immunity at that point. And I was like, she's a better talker than me. I think she could outspeak me at the end, and we had played such similar games. I think she would have just been able to differentiate just enough to have won over me. And so I always like, I never just like went along with everything she did. I was like trying to plot her demise, to be honest, like from the shadows, like talking to Tammy a little bit about it and like letting people know like we weren't as close as it was perceived, because I just knew that I couldn't go to the end with her. And I think she saw me like as somebody she could just take to the end and beat. And so I think when she found out that I had my own plans and that I wasn't just like going along with everything she was saying, that it was like a big reason why she was so upset.
Yeah.
But like there was, I mean, I had plans, I had alliances that like weren't shown that I think would have explained more.
Right.
And why I did I do, and that I never went along with stuff just for the sake of surviving another vote.
Now, just one more final question, because this has come up a lot with previous players that I've talked to this season, and Janine brought it up especially, and she talked about player paralysis, and that's what she called it, in the sense that it seemed that if you made big moves, if you stepped into the limelight, you were cut down. Is that the feeling you got? And did that ever end in the game? Because you made some pretty big strategic moves, after the merge. Is that the sense of the game that you got, how it flowed?
Yeah, I think we've seen enough Survivor at this point to be afraid of the people who make those big moves, right? And like we've seen a lot of the times them getting to the end and it's just like a landslide. So I think you have to be really careful about when you decide to make these big moves. And once you do you have the backing to be able to get to the end, or is everybody going to turn on you? And like that's why I always was like, because Jeff, like I remember in tribal council, like he would say a lot, like kind of push the agenda of like big moves, like why aren't the big moves happening? And I would always say like the big move is very often not the smart move. And that was
Right.
always like, something that I considered like, and truth be told, like when you don't have an idol or an advantage, it's very hard to make a big flashy move, right? I mean, what could you do? Like, right. So like the big moves that were made were with the idols and things like that. So you can be making smart, strategic, calculated decisions to get each person out and like to further yourself in the game. And that's the smart move for you, but it may not be like this flashy thing. But if that's what gets you to the end, like you're still playing the game. I wasn't dragged by any means. We saw how often I was targeted. And every vote that I participated in, like I pushed those votes. So I never sat back and just let anybody dictate. And then, I was like, okay, I guess I'll just do that. Right. So I feel like I still played a good game. It just wasn't, oh, I have this idol or disadvantage, I'm going to make a big deal at tribal. So it's hard when you don't have access to those powers to have given an obvious move, but like a lot of times that will just get you chopped. So then what's the point? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, Cassidy, again, you played a great game. Myself and a lot of people were really surprised at the outcome, but I think you need to, above anything, you need to take that to heart, that there's a lot of people were behind you and a lot of people were surprised. So all the best of luck to you in the future. And I hope we get to see you again and get to chat again.
Thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
Okay. Take care, Cassidy. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.